of the Bahamian American Cultural Society. My name is Beryl Edgecombe, and I'm going to be hosting today's show. The Bahamian American Cultural Society's mission is to expose the culture. And today I'm going to be talking with one of my sister friends from the Bahamas, Edna Taylor. She's the author of Love Has No Color. Welcome, Edna,
Thank you, Val.
to the
Thanks for having me.
Bahamians. Okay, it's been a pleasure, and it has been a pleasure reading your book, Love Has No Color. I've been really intrigued with book one. It took me a little less than a month to read the three of them.
Not
Book
bad.
1, 2, and 3. It has been really a page turner. Let me ask you, let's talk about the book to begin. Why Love Has No Color? Why did you decide to name the book that?
Because I find it intriguing that human beings would even think that they're different from each other. I think that the concept of black and white or whatever is a thing of beauty. I truly do. I think it's beautiful. And I've always felt that with this slavery issue, what a better way is there? I mean, what better way is there to dismiss all of that stuff by people being one together of different races
Right, okay.
and creating their own?
Beautiful. Okay, so now Love Has No Color, and the book is about interracial marriage.
Yes.
Okay. How do you go about, developing that story? Is it a true story?
No, it's just life.
It's life. Okay. Okay.
It's just life.
Uh-huh.
And in writing, the characters take on shape and form, and they just spread out. I mean, it's not like I decided this is going to be the way a character is. They have thoughts. I mean, I'm thinking for every single person in the book,
Right. Right.
and it just takes on a life of its own. And it's very interesting to see something you sort of conjured up
Uh-huh.
come to life,
Okay.
and for other people as well.
Okay. So as an author, when preparing to write a book, you don't spread out the whole platform as to the characters and the plots and where it's going to take place, because you had us going to Europe, to the Indian reservation, So how did you plan or map all of that out to really
I
make it
did
a
not-
page turner?
I did not map it out. It's a gift for which I'm eternally grateful. There was one thing that was not going to change in my book. That was how the hero and heroine felt about each other.
Okay.
And life, it just went on. I mean, drama is evident. All of that stuff comes in. It just is like living a life. You can't wake up in the morning and say, this is what I'm going to do, blah, 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 and expect things to go exactly the way that things will happen. As one of the characters said, life interrupts.
Right.
And so when life interrupts, it makes for more drama and so forth.
Okay. So now, there was a lot of emotions going on in reading the book. There were some sad times, there were some angry times, and saying, when is she going to do that? Why are you letting that happen? I was talking to the book, I said,
Great.
well, yeah, so how did you, feel, about some of these characters, in order to kind of bring in the anger or.
Believe me when I tell you, it flowed.
It flowed.
It flowed. I once had a segment in this particular book. I had to take it out because it made me so unhappy.
Oh, part
I
one?
had to write it out.
Okay.
I just took the whole thing out, and no one would ever know that was in the book because I couldn't take the pain that it took to cause such a thing to happen. So
Okay.
I'm feeling everything they're feeling. It's an amazing adventure writing. And the characters do become real to you. but there's a point where you have to cut them off for whatever reason. And sadly, I had to.
Well, yeah, a few of them died, age-wise.
That was hard
They
to
died,
do.
yeah.
That was very hard. But even when Ex Libris was doing the book for me, they were saying, well, they had someone to sort of speak about the book, tell what the book was about and what they thought about it, give it a review, sort of. And they said that it would make a good show, a television show.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah.
And they mentioned as the kids grow, and as people die and as business fall off, whatever.
Right.
And that made me realize, oh my God, I'm gonna have to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who was reading the books. And she said, "I hope you didn't kill off." So I was like, "Okay, it's expected."
Yeah.
So I had to do it. It was hard, but I would say things like, "Oh no, nothing is going to happen to Basil."
Yeah. And that's going to happen to Nancy. Nancy. Yeah. That's really good. Now, the way you start the book was very interesting. How they met in the village, and an accident. I mean, that was really, and how it developed. And I in reading you assume that that Basil just disappeared, but and wasn't coming back, but you had him in the background that yes, he's going to appear. Still, in love with Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah. So it's really interesting how you did that. So how do you go about developing these feelings of these characters, and bringing them in? You brought in relatives, came in to live in this huge mansion, and all these people. I said, whoa. I mean, did you experience that in your lifetime where your aunts and uncles came to visit and never left?
No, I mean, nothing beats the imagination.
Okay.
If you think it and you write it, sometimes I think my ideas come so quickly I can't put them all down. It doesn't work for me jotting on a paper. I got so many pieces of papers with thoughts on it that never gets anywhere.
Okay.
So I pretty much rely on, just utilizing what is there while I'm writing, and that in itself is such a thing that it's a beautiful thing to be able to put things into words.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing you have a number of characters that still is in limbo that you can bring alive, like
Yes,
Gwen.
tug their
Poor
string.
Gwen, she got married finally. Thank God.
Finally.
She finally got married, which was good. Good to see that she finally caught the guy. But how can you how did you was able to bring in all these people? And how did you
They were necessary.
able to pull them in?
They were necessary. My thought pattern, it just keeps coming. It's I'm not sure, but I'm impressed about them myself. Okay, I really am. I mean, that I'm impressed to see how it works out so well. It's like it can't be just Nancy and Basil.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, they can stay in the bedroom and make beauty.
Right.
But like Gwen, for instance, she's like a protagonist, and she's like pulling at Nancy's strings all the time,
Right,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
to the
she
very
never,
end.
She never stops to think, why am I so fortunate to be living here,
Right,
or something like
right.
that. She never stops to think about that. And I don't know, they seem to, the character at that particular time seemed to fill in whatever void is needs filling. And so they get to their 15 minutes of fame. There was one character in the book who Basil described as a one chapter. If she were part of a book, she'd be one chapter, just one chapter. But the others, well, they contributed to Nancy's way of living, her past, and her present and
Right.
future. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so they sort of
Yeah,
stuck
there were
in
people
there.
from the neighborhood that yeah, yeah, okay. Now, as a reader, reading your books, well, I read all three of them, as I said, I found some nights I was up until 3 o'clock.
I
What about yourself? Were you up,
well, it
the
didn't.
sun came in and you realized, wow,
In writing it, yes.
yeah,
But I have experienced what you've experienced, and I'm just honored that it happened to me in my books.
okay.
I had that same problem with Twilight. I would lay awake, and the morning light is coming in, and I've got to go to work.
Oh.
I get up to turn off the light. Then I'm wide awake. So I start to read again. So, yes, and I've had a few people tell me the same. They're missing the subway stops and that kind of stuff, reading the book.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
am
read it
honored.
on the bus coming here to the studio,
Awesome.
and at nighttime I would, go in and I would read it, and
Thank you.
it's 12 o'clock, and I should be,
At
settling
least.
in. I'm sitting, I'm close to my bed. I can see my bed, but I'm sitting now in the quiet of my bedroom, just reading and reading. Because what happens is that you get to a point and you say, let me see what happened, and then you go, and then, dang, she put in another thing. Let me see how that happens, And so you keep
Yes.
going, running behind those. Let's see what's next. Let's see what's next.
Mm,
As a writer, do you get that kind of feeling? Well, I have a lead, let me develop it, and you keep going.
I will do it until it makes me stop. I will write.
You complete the whole.
I must.
Okay,
I must.
picture.
I can't go on to something else unless I do that. Writing is an awesome thing.
Okay. Now the
Um,
scenery, and the plot is around this hotel manager, and who traveled. I think he was the owner of the hotel.
Basil,
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah. How did you develop that kind of character?
Again, but Beryl, I get a thought, and it's like just one word, go right. So developing him, it just came to me. It's just a gift that he always blessed me with.
Okay.
It came, and I put it down. I'm at my computer and I'm thinking, oh, Father, I need a word. What word do you use here? And he gives it to me. So, I just come to realize that he's the one doing all of this. He's put his gift in me, and he's the one conducting it all.
Okay.
And it is, to me, it's an amazing thing because I know nothing about most of these things I've written. It just put it down. Like, for instance, there's something called Couvaid syndrome that I wrote about. For Basil, every woman wants a man who will have the pregnancy discomforts.
Yeah.
He's the perfect man. He's every woman's dream. So I never knew that it existed.
I never knew it existed either until I read the
Wonderful.
book.
You see, I've educated you somewhat.
Yeah.
I thought, maybe, I said, sympathetic pregnancy. Then I said, is there such a thing as sympathetic pregnancy? So I went to the dictionary, and then it led me to Couvaid. I looked it up online. Couvaid syndrome. Oh, God, that was just perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect because I wanted Basil to always be in tune with Nancy. She was doing this one thing he asked, one thing he wanted so badly. And he would do anything for her. And he was doing anything and everything for her.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a beautiful thing. I was so surprised, pleasantly surprised. And that, he would know if she's pregnant and she has no idea.
Yeah.
And then I was concerned. I said, would a woman really not know she's pregnant? Yes. She would not know. I mean, there's some who
For a
don't
while,
know.
she,
For quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting.
I
Yeah.
thought it
No, but let me ask you
was.
now. When did you first develop? But the idea that, gee, I can become an author. When did this
Oh,
all
honey.
began?
Mm. In my, at home in Nassau, I was the storyteller. Every night I lay down between my sister and my cousin. Catherine Roxborough is my sister, and Janet Arthur Dickinson was my cousin. And every night I would tell them a story. For a week maybe. I don't remember how long a story took, but every night I told 2 stories.
Okay.
And, I would take it to that point. Like you were saying, how do you, develop?
Right.
I would take one story to that point, and then I will start on the second person story. And I don't know, maybe we did it for a week, I don't know, but they were my first fans, let's call it that.
Okay.
I'd be whispering in the dark, telling stories. And I thank my parents for not shutting us up, because, I'm sure they could hear us, because, I was talking a lot in the nighttime, and they were listening, and they were having their conversation. So that's where I started telling stories to my sister and my cousin. They were the only 2.
Okay. How old were you then?
I must have been in my early teens.
Oh, your early teens. Oh, okay. Okay.
I can't remember anything before. I mean, earlier than that. It had to be early teens, because I wasn't working yet. I was probably in school. So yeah.
So, what about the school? Did the teachers saw, that you had that ability? Did they encourage you to?
Only that I had I had sort of the English language kind of thing. You had the subject called English,
Right,
that kind of
right.
stuff. I was kind of good at that. But when I came to this country, and I got married, and I had my children, or maybe I had one, I don't know. But what happened was I had this emptiness inside of me, and I realized getting married didn't fill it, having children didn't fill it, and it was the writing, it was the storytelling. And I penned a thing or two, and I did. It was 36 years ago, my first story, the one that was rejected by Scott Meredith. I looked at that, and that was what was missing in my life. I had to write. The need to write was so strong that it just kept me dissatisfied. There was something missing. And that's what it was for a while. Then, of course, I came to realize later in life it wasn't writing or anybody else. It was simply a need to know my creator. That's what I long for,
Right.
really. That's what life is about. So then I did poetry. I just wrote things and put them down.
Okay.
I got a suitcase filled with manuscripts.
Wow.
Filled with them. And I was shocked to find that they were completed. And these are the times when you had to type them out on a typewriter. It was like you had the computer.
Right, yeah.
You can just delete that or
Right,
copy
right.
and paste. No. I was typing.
Okay.
And at my job, my supervisor realized that he didn't seem to mind that I would write while I'm there if I had nothing else to do. Then there would be people watching what I do. Someone stood over my shoulder one day and said, "Wow, you must read a lot." I said, "No, this is the gift," and that's what I do.
Okay.
I think a thing and we put it down, and there it goes.
Right. Did you do stories for your children?
I never did that.
Oh, you did do that?
Never told my children stories, but they always came to me. I was the dictionary. I had to lead them to the dictionary. And the funny thing is, when they moved out, they took all my dictionaries with them. But no, I never told stories to my children.
Yeah.
That's
Both of my kids, there was a thing that, you have to be in bed and don't put your foot on the floor after a certain hour. And so they would take all these books in the bed with them. And when they finished reading, they would ask me, "Ma, tell us a story." This is the way so they could stay up late, you know. So I said, "Well,
Cunning,
okay, I'll give you a quick short story." And that was a quick short story, and I was out the room. But they always wanted, you know, they love to read, and they would take all these books in the bed with them. Of course, when we went to the library, we would take a shopping bag.
Ah, okay.
And we will come back with sometimes 27 books. Now, when it's time to return those to the library, that's a big problem. Because I would buy books for them, and we'll put them on the shelf, so we had to go through the bookshelf trying to find all the books that supposed to be going back to the library before they become due. But yeah, no, I think storytelling is really very interesting. You would be
I never thought of
a
it.
children's author instead of an adult author. And of course, you see, you know, the kind of writing that you do that really intrigue adults to the point where some of the comments that I've read from, you know, some of your writers, some of your readers. For instance, this is Miss Brown. She said, "Beautiful. I'm finished with part 3. I guess the 3rd book."
Yes.
What a wonderful story. I will reread the trilogy again and again. So I said, you know something? That gives me an idea too. I need to read them all. But
Please do.
I was so really in your world for like 3. You know, I was really I was hostage.
Yep.
To read, you know, from 1. When I finished reading 2, I asked you, "Is there another one?"
Yes,
And
you did.
then came book number 3.
I happened to be waiting, literally waiting to receive it from the postman that day.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so that was the first copy I got. Then
Yes, you got the author's copy.
I got the author's copy. Great. Yeah, so I definitely, you know, went at it again and
That's awesome.
and got myself right into this cocoon position. And I gave the book to a friend. I told so that she could interview you instead of me. But she didn't read the books. But I only gave her 2. So I said, well, I'm going to give her the 3rd one. I'll give her the first 2, because that's what you did. You gave me the first 2.
That's all I had to give you.
So I read the first 2, and I thought, well, gee, the kind of experience that I have, let me give her these 2 books. Instead of me interviewing you, let her to interview you. And I gave her the books, but she never got around to reading them. So I had to bring them back to me, 'cause in case you didn't bring any, I would
so
have my
glad.
copies here today.
I had to bring them, and my son suggested I bring a couple of sets, so I did.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really interesting. So let me ask you, where in Nassau were you born? Where?
I was born.
Let's talk about your life, you know, growing up in the Bahamas.
Not much of that, really. I was born in a place called Long Key, Fortune Island. It's just at the tip of Ackland's Island. And in 1959, at the age of 8, I came I came with my family to Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas.
Okay.
And that's where I stayed until in the early 70s when I moved here.
You know, like some of my audience, I'm sure that they probably heard of the Bahamas and the Family Islands, but they probably, like myself, when you said that you were born in Fortune Island, I was wanted to know, Fortune Island, I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah.
You know, but that's one of the, I guess it's one of the 22 islands that are inhabited. At the time, but how many people were on that island?
Honey, I was 8. I really don't even remember that. I do remember some names of people.
Okay.
But I've never seen them again. My brother is a historian in the family. He knows everybody and everything.
Okay.
So he has to tell me. He has to tell me what I did.
Right.
But life there was interesting, I think, because I can remember our home. I can remember our father building our water tank. It's a spring, actually. He built
a little house over the
concrete.
Well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It was huge, and we had an outhouse. We had a kitchen, outside as well.
Right. Away from the main house.
Right. And my mother used to pack up early mornings, her machete, whatever else, and she'd go out to make a field. That's where I
Right,
say
right.
it. Make a field. She'd go and she'd be choose a plot of land, and she'd just go at it, cutting down trees and stuff and piling stuff up, and then days later, while that is being prepared, she goes on and starts another field any other day. You know, she was, what a busy woman she was. Unfortunately, she didn't live to see me write the book. She thought I was smart.
Okay.
And then we go back, she'd go back and burn that particular field, the first one.
Oh, right, right,
and
right.
then in succession, you know, clear things out and plant
Right, right.
corn or whatever else. And then it was my brother who said to me that we fished. I don't remember fishing. I remember crabbing.
Oh, yes, crabbing.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I love the sound of the crabs trying to get out of the barrel. Yes.
That was a gameplay.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was very nice.
At nighttime, going crabbing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
I did that for a while. I lived with my grandmother on Long Island, Bahamas for a while, yeah. And I would go with her crabbing, yeah.
I love the term.
Yeah.
I love it. And so she did farming. We did it with her. I remember being with her. I don't remember being such help. And she would prepare meals there too. I mean, she was such an incredible woman.
Yeah, yeah. Cause it's like it's a day outing, you know. Yeah. When I would go with my grandmother, she would also cook in the field. But I would be sitting.
Pot
I'd be sitting under the tree while she's out in the field. I was afraid of anything crawling.
No hard labor.
Yeah.
So then you couldn't be out there.
No, anything crawling. I sat right under the tree, and I always watched to see who's coming near me. Right.
They didn't have off those days, right?
No, they didn't have off. No, I was afraid of snakes and anything, you know, like
crawling and stuff.
Yeah, anything crawling. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like black spiders and stuff. I was afraid of those things. Yeah.
Still afraid of
I mean, I wasn't fearful of the bushes, but I was, you know, inquisitive. So I never didn't want to go. But just that I was very aware of crawling things.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And I went crabbing too with the same fear, you know, of
really?
crawling things. Yeah.
Well, actually, they could bite you. They can probably hurt you.
Yeah. Sometimes my grandmother will be running behind the noise. She thinks it's a crab, but it's a snake.
Ooh, I never experienced that.
Yeah. And she'll come and she say, "Oh, that wasn't a crab." I said, "What was that?" She wouldn't tell me, but I know it was a snake. So how many in family? How many in family?
I have now 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of deaths and so forth.
Okay, your father, he's still around?
No, they're both dead. Mom and dad are dead.
Okay.
My mother, she came to me once a year after. She didn't want me to leave Nassau, first of all. And I said to her, Ma, somebody's got to go so others can come and visit. And it took her years to understand that. When she first came to me, she said, you know, Eddie, you were right. So she would come to me every year. And the last year, that was, must have been 87, I'd seen her, but she was supposed to come in 88. And I got a ticket for her. And I wrote her a letter with the ticket. And I said, Ma, this ticket is non-refundable. And it's, you know, all the norms that they've got there.
Right.
I said, the only thing to stop you from coming is death. And she died. And I felt for the longest that I was responsible for my mother's death. Thank goodness. So that was, but she loved coming. She loved coming. And it was like, okay, you were right that because if you didn't go, I wouldn't be coming here, you know, that kind of thing.
Right, true.
Yeah, so that was good. And going back to Long Key, one of my fondest memory, actually it was not fond memory at all, scary, it was more like it, is we used to go out. The family would go out to hunt. Do we say hunt? Not really. We say we went to gather fruits.
Oh, okay.
You know, the sapodilla,
Right, yeah.
cocoa, plums, and stuff like that.
Right.
And we had to cross the pond, and on the way there was this dead horse in the roadway, in the walkway, right?
Mm.
I mean, it wasn't paved road or anything like that.
Right.
And they just went along their way and left me behind because I was afraid. I was scared to death to pass the animal.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And because they were going around the bend, disappearing through the woods, I had to get some courage and fast. So I ran after them and forgot all about it until we were coming back home. Now it's getting dark. So it's so amazing. You just, I mean, I just simply forgot what scared the heck out of me. And now I had to face it all over again. And I think maybe I ran after them a little sooner than I did the first time around because it's dark, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to be out there. It's just land. It's just nice sounds and stuff like that. It's not like
yeah, pitch dark.
Not like some light is going to go off.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you're going to see your way. It was interesting.
It's total darkness. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, total. And you get the stars though. You get to see the stars.
So let me ask you. So you came to America to pursue education or what?
No, I just came because I was invited by my children's father.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then we did get married, and we have 3 children. 3 of them, they're all grown and out of the house and so forth.
Yes, when I was reading the story, and I was saying that I hadn't met you. I met your son. That's how I get to know you. I met your son. He was at the presentation we had for Marion Bethel, the women's suffrage movement at the Schaumburg. Last year, I think it was. And so I had met you, but then when I started reading the book, I was trying to place you in the story.
You're not the first person to do it. I said, would that I had such a life.
So I said, well, gee, but what happened? She's now in Brooklyn. And I don't know if there's a mansion as big as this that she's talking about.
That's funny.
So I was a little confused for a while there.
Truth and fiction. Well, no,
and then,
I don't have a big mansion.
And also I was saying, when I met David, and I said, but Basil is white, and she is black. But then, you know, Basil, then that became another. I was going through a whole other world.
Yes, another world. Talk about imagination.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So now let me ask you. Now, all those manuscripts that you have in your suitcase. What are you going to do with those? I'm sure now that some of your readers know that you have a suitcase full of books.
Yes, I do.
They'll want you to come and develop them, or in some form or the other.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that, like myself, is really. I could say, well, I read 3 books, 3 novels.
How about that?
You know, so and I'm sure that anyone who is not. So I haven't read a novel, or I haven't read a book. They just need to pick up one of your books, and they will accomplish that desire. Not one. They'll find that there is something in the first part that's going to intrigue them to want to read the second, and then when you meet Gwen, you're going to want to read the third to find out, well, what happened to Gwen and those friends of hers. Did she excommunicate them or what? So, and did she get Basil's brother? So it's really you did a fabulous work here,
Thank you so much.
I hope that some of your readers really encourage you along to bring those books out of the,
closet,
out of
yes.
the suitcase there. Yeah,
Yeah,
and develop them. Now that you're retired, what do you plan to do?
that was what I would want to do the writing.
Yeah.
There's a part of writing that I just never considered, and that's called marketing.
Oh, marketing. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
I only wanted to write. That's all I wanted to do, write.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I had friends saying things like, "Oh, you're robbing the world of your writing." Wow.
Yeah.
I'm robbing the world. The world doesn't know me, but I'm robbing of my
Not
writing.
your writers, your fans. You
I've
know?
got some lovely people there.
Yeah,
who really,
yeah.
really, truly encouraged me. It's like I had these two books were like, well, this was one book, and I had to cut it down
Ah.
because the more pages you have, the more you have to, it costs to produce.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then when I finished that, someone said, "You've got to write another book. You've got to write a third book." And so
Yeah.
there it is.
Well, and even here, you can write a fourth book.
I have
like-
started it. I'm just not. I'm trying to stay away from it, but it's very hard because
Uh-huh.
you see, not only do you create them, you live them.
Right, right.
What the people that are spoken of in this book, I'm living their lives. I'm speaking for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suffering with them. Everything,
Right. Yeah.
and so it's hard to put them away.
Yeah, because you don't know, the people are talking about women who are out working, do they feel guilty? Nancy?
Nancy. It used to be Nancy, and I changed it because it was a little. Nancy was far more exotic.
No,
Let's put it
okay,
that
okay,
way.
Nancy, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Nancy had these children, and they're now off to high school, and before you know it,
College.
they're off to college.
Yeah,
And she's now going into the business.
Mhm.
So
She's like always been part of, well, most of the time with the children, she's been in the business, but not outside.
not outside. Yeah. So now she's traveling. So we want to know, is she guilty of leaving her kids? But I
In
also had a
the,
neighbor who, after having I think 5 children, she went on to law school, and she's now a lawyer, very very active lawyer, and so it's
She can go any which way she wants. She has the resources.
Yeah.
She's got the encouragement from her husband, all that stuff she's got.
and she's a New York University graduate who really did extremely well in school, and on her graduation there is her husband doing the commencement.
A surprise.
Yeah,
And the dean had been wooing him for years.
yeah. A dean who wants to give her a position, not knowing that here there are 2 people that he's trying to woo to the university, and didn't know that the 2 of them were connected.
He didn't know.
No. So I tell
must
you,
tell you, the
Edna, you
secrecy.
really had us going. Places that we never thought we'll go before.
I've
Even
never
to have a
been.
conversation with the president of the New York University. So it was very very interesting to have even read your books and to have really been so intrigued to the point where that just couldn't put it down.
That is awesome to
Yeah,
me.
and like you said, someone mentioned that you can do a film, a movie.
Yeah, they say.
We were watching the haves and the have-not.
Yeah.
This is not the haves and the have-not. It's Love Has No Color, but which is really interesting. And then too, there are a lot of mixed marriages coming along these days, and it would be good to even for those folks to read this, to see that there is a love relationship and the melting of the 2 families. His side of family and Nazi,
Nancy
side of the family.
It's okay.
So there is a happy medium where both, colors blend together and they're one.
They're one.
And they really had a great time.
But Basil and Nancy knew that. I mean, they knew that it was never about that. Not for them. It's more about their dance.
Right, yeah.
More about their dance than that kind of stuff. And I appreciate that when she first mentioned it, and he told her to never say it again. And she mentioned color, to never say it again.
Yeah.
I really, I'm very pleased for the reception of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have they been out?
12.
How long?
2012.
2012.
The first one was produced like early. I sent it out. I remember I sent out the first one February 14.
Okay.
In 2012, and yeah, they were both put out at the same time. This came a couple of months after that one.
Okay. Let me ask you, what inspired you to write, to create the Love Clan?
Mm.
What inspired you to do that?
Because I really think interracial connections, it can create such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. To me, it's almost like a cure for the ills. A couple of people can get together, people who were considered different. I don't know why yet. I have this thing about the human body. We're all the same, actually. And the color of the skin is really so very insignificant. We always talk about if you took off that top layer, are we not the same?
Right.
So it's just that I think it's a beautiful thing and a way to a means, healing. It is sometimes if we're so separate, where, just using the air itself, where do I stop breathing and it becomes yours?
Yeah.
We're one. We're one.
Right,
believe it or not.
Yeah.
Just call ourselves a part of the Joshua tree.
Right.
We are one, no matter what your color.
I know in the Bahamas they have coined this phrase, all of we is one. all of we is one. So it's very interesting. But now let me ask you, now I noticed that in your book you have subtitles like love, jealousy, prejudice, interracial relationship. Yeah. Why did you tend to do your listing that way?
Well, this is my first book.
Okay.
Done it myself. I mean, what I'm saying is, I told a story, and it's like, this is basically what I'm trying to share with you. This is what's happening in this particular chapter.
Okay.
And I can almost find it difficult to do it any other way. I know there are a lot of books where there's just chapter 1, chapter 2, and so forth and so on. I tend to say, well, this is a bit of what's going to happen in chapter whatever. That's probably it.
So you think that if someone wants to go back and read,
it's easy to find, isn't it?
Chapter, you can. If you want to learn from their relationship, because they've had some problems, and that you'll be able to read and see how do they solve that. Because there are similarities. There's that it might be very little different, but you can find the way in which they solve that problem, and learn from it. So that can be a learning. It does have its reasons there. Yeah, interesting.
Pretty much, is this what I wanted to talk about? Or this is how they're progressing. You don't have to guess about it. This is how they're progressing, and so forth.
Right.
I think it's just a thing I do, I suppose.
And if your kids are writers?
I wrote. and actually I read some of my children's writing. Actually, I wrote it in my cell phone. I said, after reading my children's writings, I dare say I am no writer. That's what I think of their writing.
Wow.
That young man, David Spence,
David, you
he's a
said,
fine writer. My daughter, Laura Spence, she wrote something for school just the other day, and I said to her, did you write this? And I know my eldest daughter is a fine writer. So yeah, they.
Okay. So you think they're going to be authors too, or they're just?
I don't know. My second daughter does not. Well, she doesn't read these kinds of novels. She said. As a matter of fact, they were the ones who told me, "Mommy, the book is too big." I said, "Well, you know, that's like relative to. Do you want it? Do you want to read it? It's not too big if you want to read it.
Yeah.
If it interests you, it's not big enough."
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, they're really fine writers. I don't know if they'll ever make a book.
Okay. Now these are romance drama.
Yeah.
Is that your forte? Is that your
Well,
your interest
you
in
know,
writing, or is there different? Or you can
I
go
think so. I
another
can do
one.
other things, I'm sure. I don't particularly care about writing reality that way. I rather, because as I told you, I was a storyteller,
Right.
and that's what I like. I like to tell stories.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
that
think you'll
is
be
my
able to tell
preference.
stories about the Bahamas? Because we have storytellers in the Bahamas. Do you think you would be a storyteller telling stories of the Bahamas?
That would require a whole lot of learning, a whole lot of stuff that maybe I'm not prepared to go back and do right now because I'm just not there. I don't know if I'll ever go home to stay. I had one hell of a time staying there a week because it's just too hot for me. Too hot.
Yeah, I find October is a beautiful time.
That's the better time to go.
Yeah.
And the sea grapes are out then.
I'm not too sure about the sea
They're
grapes.
there now, but they're not ripe yet.
Okay, I'm sure it would. Yeah, I would think so. But October, I went home a few years ago in October, and I said, "Oh, I have to go back every October."
Whoa! Then I'm learning something.
Oh, the weather is absolutely beautiful, beautiful. It feels it's not hot, and it's not cold. You can still wear sleeveless, but you're so cool. I mean, you could wear like jewelry and you can dress up. So it's a good time. October is really a nice time to be in the Bahamas. Yeah.
I think the killer now is the humidity.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you, what message do you hope your readers would take away from your book?
Other than appreciating a gift, which I think is a beautiful gift, because that's all I ever wanted to do, write, is that they would understand that there is no separation between people, nor their God for that matter. There's no separation because we are all one. This is only one thing in existence, and that's Him, a spirit, and we are part of Him. So we're not separate.
Right.
And if given the opportunity, if it's something you want to do it, and never mind what other people think about it, because they don't live your life.
Right.
You do.
Right.
You know, I've been online, and I read some of the stuff that goes on with groups this particular group, people talking about, they're married interracially and they got kids, and they're like too caught up on what other people think. You ought to know why you are with that person.
Right.
And it's got,
Right.
like my mother, well, it's like you don't get involved with married couples. You don't get involved with their problems. You don't get between them or people having relationships, because they will turn on you. You don't know when is good for them do they need you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
leave them alone, let them solve their own.
Yeah, and I'm
Tips.
sure they'll solve this. It
Yeah,
will be
they do
solved.
very well without
yeah,
you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, when you, next time when you see them there, lovey-dovey, and you're saying,
And
oh, why
you
did
are
I enter?
holding grudge for somebody. It's not your business.
Right, right, right.
So, you know,
What would
be
you tell a
content.
young writer? You know, there are a lot of kids that are 8-year-old
God.
and 9-year-olds who, you know, they say, oh, I cannot write. What would you say to a young writer?
Everybody can write, but if you have a gift that you desire, look, it was like I needed to write so badly, Beryl, that everything else in my life was a bother.
Mm-hmm.
I was most unhappy when I wasn't writing. And it's like I would die. I felt many times I would just die, just stop living if I didn't write.
Yeah. Were you always were you at any time like a housekeeper? I mean, or a homemaker?
No,
Or did you
I have
you
had
worked?
to work.
Okay.
I had
Okay.
to work, and I
yeah.
had 3 kids and all that stuff. But that desire, that need to write is so strong. It's like I call it, it's like childbirth. You just got, once that thought is conceived, you got to put it down. It's like finishing that chapter again.
Right.
You
right.
got to keep going. You got to write it down, because once conception happens, fruition must happen too.
Yeah.
The child must come forth.
Right.
And
right.
so that's pretty much like what writing is about. It. I just felt many times I would just burst if I didn't, and everything, my job, everything was a bother to me, because I just wanted to write.
So what would you tell a writer who is a young
Do
child,
it.
say 8 or 9 years old,
Please do it.
when they say, well, oh, I cannot write this, or even like a writer's block? Is there such a thing?
I don't give it much merit, really, because, like I said to you before, many times the urge to write was there. And I get to the computer and I don't know what to put down. So I've begun many a chapter by writing down 2 words. This question, actually, write what? And with an attitude, I would say that.
Yeah.
Write what? I would put it down on the page with exclamation points after it. And I've gotten some pretty good chapters
Okay.
starting out just that way.
Yeah.
But they say a writer writes thinking about it, wondering about it, hoping, won't do it.
Yeah. I
You've
took
got to
a writing
write.
course at NYU, and just summertime. And when we went in to write, it said the professor came and he said, "This is a writing class. So I want you all to write for the next. Write until you stop. Write anything, everything that comes to your mind. Keep writing." And we wrote for the whole hour, waiting for him to say when to stop. And if you stop, he say, call the name out.
I didn't say
Do
stop.
you have a writer's block?
Ah,
There's no such thing. Keep writing. So
There
we
you
had
go.
to keep writing, keep writing, keep writing.
oh my
You know,
goodness.
and so, you know, like there is no such thing as a writer's block. I know who invented that phrase, but
I agree.
there's no such thing as a writer's block.
Agree. Because when I wrote down what you asked me to write, I answered all those questions. I answered every one of them, and that was my response to that. There is no such thing.
Yeah. Last question. Love Has No Color. How did you go about developing the characters, each character?
Once again, and I'm very serious about this, they just move. There's a time, there'll come a time you have to pull them in, rein them in. Otherwise, they'll run away with you.
Okay.
But that's what mine do. They just, they become real, and they act accordingly. They're just that way.
Okay, beautiful. That's great. And it has been a pleasure.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
Love Has No Color. It's in the bookstores.
It can be had from Ex Libris. That's www.exlibris.
Okay.
That's the capital letter X LIBRIS.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can order them from Barnes and Nobles, or the other. I keep forgetting them. Anyway, they're online. You can also purchase them ebooks and so forth.
Ebook. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a book that you can definitely take to the beach with you. Go early, stay late, and finish the book on the beach, because you'll really have time, and you will have space all to yourself to finish the book, because it is a page turner.
Thank you.
You
That's
will not
beautiful.
regret it. Okay. This is Beryl Edgecombe. My guest is Edna Taylor. Love Has No Color. It's a trilogy, and I'm really happy to have her as my guest. Also, you can email me, dembahamians@earthling.net.
Thank you.
You
That's
will not
beautiful.
regret it. Okay. This is Beryl Edgecombe. My guest is Edna Taylor. Love Has No Color. It's a trilogy, and I'm really happy to have her as my guest. This Dem Bahamians, seen every Monday at 2 o'clock. Time Warner 34, Fios 33, RCN 82, and on the internet, www.mnn.org. Click on Channel 1. Also, you can email me, dembahamians@earthling.net. Thank you very much for watching. See you next Monday at 2 o'clock.